I don't think there's any more appropriate way to start than holy fuck, it's bloody diabolical. But without further ado, it's time for a shoddy review slash discussion of The Boys. Season 2 just finished, and oh my god. I just need to talk about this show. This show is just, it's a breath of fresh air. Holy crap. Season 1 came out probably around the time the whole Marvel cinematic universe kind of wrapped up the last phase in the major bits. And while I love Marvel, the timing for this show coming out and then continuing has just been perfect because it's like the exact opposite of what you've come to expect from superheroes and everything. For anybody that hasn't heard of this show, just go watch it. Seriously, like, no matter what I say, I'm just gonna like praising the crap out of it because even when it's at the low points and like there's like slight slow points, that's really it. Otherwise, god dang, oh, I need more. I need more. Season 3, please. I'm gonna have to start reading the comics. Jesus Christ, just where to even start with this show? This show just comes out swinging. It gets you comfortable for all of about 5 minutes. Just sets it up, lobs it, swings, and just home runs the first scene by setting the most just brutal tone possible. It puts you in the headspace immediately that you weren't expecting if you didn't already know what you were going into watching this. I'm not spoiling anything with this show either because when I sat down and watched that first episode initially a year back when it came out, holy hell, my jaw literally hit the floor. Like it was just I speechless. This exact feeling right now is how I felt when I saw that. From there, it just, oh my god, there's so much to unpack with this show. The writing is just so well done, in my opinion, that every character, even like the smallest characters that are on the screen for all of maybe a minute in the entire series, are interesting. You want to know more about these characters. When anybody's on screen, there's no one character on a screen where you're like, all right, let's fast forward and get to the next ones. Every single character is interesting in some regard, and they're not one track or have a gimmick or anything. And yes, some characters do have gimmicks, but they're not that one trait, which makes them so great. But two characters that stand out exponentially is Carl Urban as Billy Butcher and Homelander, Anthony Starr. I blanked on his name while I was recording this initially, so I'm just adding this in here and continuing. Holy crap, those two characters alone, just any scene they're in, just completely steals the spotlight. But that's not to take away from the other characters that are in the show. It's just, oh my, it's perfect. I mean, I really couldn't ask for much more with them. As for the actual show, I mean, if you haven't actually heard of it at this point, it's essentially when superheroes are treated as celebrities and what might actually be a more realistic feeling of how people with superpowers would be in like our world, instead of it just being the fantastical they all do good. There are villains and super villains introduced during the show, but it's not really the focus overall. There's just people and there's heroes, and it's just this duality of how everything operates around these with big businesses and cameos and all this just celebrity life of these people and how they misuse it or how they want to change it. And it's so cool because it's so refreshing, because I don't know if I've ever seen something that took like this take and to be just so damn dark. There are countless times where this show is just unapologetic and makes you just uncomfortable almost the entire time with things that are just very touchy and that some shows or mediums might not really touch on as much because they don't want to offend anybody. And I think that's kind of plays in its favor because it gets that emotional reaction that makes you more invested because it's hitting so deep and just being so harsh almost all the time. And a big thing that has with this harshness and the tone that's set up is you don't know who could die. And it doesn't go Game of Thrones like we're just going to kill off people for no reason. Like if somebody dies, there was probably a well explained reason as to why that person is getting offed, or it will get explained. I think that might be the one small complaint about the show, is that they will put in these little tidbits of information that make no sense for 8 episodes right at the beginning of a season, or even in the next season. That's just, this doesn't make any sense, and they kind of just feed you a little bit, which by the end is genius. It works, but while it's happening, you kind of are like, what? You have too many questions, and that kind of pulls you out of the immersion. That's really my biggest gripe, and I'm okay with that. After finishing season 2, I can live with that. it all pays off by the end, to a point where you're like, okay, all right, I'm back, I'm caught up, and I can reflect on what's happened. And oh my god, it's just, I hope there's more coming out. This show is just so much fun. There's so much happening, yet it's not super convoluted, and oh, I just cannot wait for more. And in, I believe, if episode 5 or 6 of season 2, they had a lot of Golden Girls references, even going so far as, I'm pretty sure, season 6 ending with the opening to Golden Girls. And there's only one thing I gotta say about that. Give me a sec. Yeah, now we're talking. Oh, does me proud. So, if any of this blabbering has convinced you, if you haven't already sat down and watched this show, what are you doing? What are you doing? Why are you watching this right now? Go watch this show. Oh my god. And on top of that, geez, they literally make memes a plot point. I almost forgot. Memes are like, in season 2 at least, there is like a focal bit that gets under people's skin and messes with big business and superheroes because people were memeing on them and shit posting. I love it. Oh my god. And PewDiePie gets name dropped in this, which is just as great. I don't know. They got their finger on the pulse with the content of this series, and I love it. So, that about wraps up all of this. If you enjoyed any of this, you have to subscribe. It's not a choice. It's the law. You have to. It's illegal to not subscribe now. You've gone this far into the video. Why not? Why not? Also, I love you if you do. I love you. You specific. And one last thing. Fuck Fresca.